Trigger warning, sexual use, SA. Resulting in the pregnancy of a minor, child abuse or neglect. Ex-wife is having a funeral for our daughter's assaulter. I'm angry I wasn't in time to take my kids off, stepdad. Forgive me, but I literally have only had the facts for an hour. I have a bad custody agreement with my ex. I broke the law a few years ago and was given 5 years of probation. During this duration, our custody agreement gives me alternative weekends with my 2 daughters, 14 and 10. Almost 2 years ago, my oldest stopped coming for her weekend visits. I tried to force the issue, but I allowed her the concession because I thought it was a phase that would pass. Flash forward to this past Wednesday, when I confirmed that I'd be picking up my 10-year-old at least. My ex confirmed and just casually dropped the knowledge that her husband had passed away. I sent my condolences and told her if there was anything she needed to let me know. So you can imagine my shock when my 10-year-old daughter proceeded to explain the circumstances that led to her stepfather's passing away. It's as bad as you can imagine. My 14-year-old apparently told her 8th grade boyfriend about the sexual use that had been going on from her stepfather. God bless the young man for telling his parents, who in turn called the police. After being questioned by the police, my daughter told them everything, and they went to arrest the stepfather. He then took his own life rather than face the authorities. I knew none of these events until they were relayed to me by my not quite 11-year-old. I'm so angry that my ex did not let me know what was happening. But I'm more angry that the piece of trash unalived himself before I got the chance to do it to him. I don't know what to do now. I'm a very good father to my 10-year-old, and now I feel like my older daughter has been manipulated into seeing me as evil for the last couple of years. I just have so much anger right now. Update: I'm beyond pissed off today. My ex-wife is having a funeral for her husband today. A man sexually assaulted my daughter all of 2022 after having groomed her for the last 2 years. The guy was guilty, and my daughter finally found the strength to confide in a friend who called the cops. CPS and the sheriff's department both did forensic interviews and believed her to be credible. Prior to arrest, the guy unalived himself rather than face judgment. I'm glad he's unalive, but I wanted to see his face on the news and in court. So to skip over a lot of the aftermath, my ex-wife, who, as a Stepford wife, cares more about appearances and believes that everything is cookie-cutter and normal, is going through a funeral for the boss. She refuses to acknowledge that anything is wrong and has legitimately told me that I'm making it more than it was. Every part of me wants to show up at the funeral, yell in front of all his clueless friends and family about how he was a child predator, and kick over the casket. I even looked for groups that could protest outside the thing. I'm just so lost and angry. Update: hello all. I want to thank everyone for reaching out and for the encouragement. I wanted to give you a small update on the events since my last post. So my ex-wife did end up having a funeral for her husband. My girls were in attendance as their mother demanded, even though it had been explained to me that they were going to have the option of attending. Despite my every desire to appear and ruin everything, I chose not to. I did, however, alert several advocacy groups, and they in turn blew up the funeral home's website obituaries to the point that they stopped allowing posts for the assaulter. In the months since, however, I have fortunately had some positive happenings in my life. Despite what was seemingly overwhelming evidence, my attempt at emergency custody was denied by the family court. There are still so many judges who are very anti-father. Even with this setback, however, my oldest daughter has returned to my life. I've gotten to spend time with her every other weekend since it was her choice. She has shared her last 3 years with me, and it has been heartbreaking. On top of the sexual use, there was a pregnancy that was terminated, 2 self-harm attempts and hospitalizations, and a police investigation of the circulation of her photos amongst collectors. All of these circumstances were hidden from me and not disclosed or acknowledged by my ex. Despite all of this, the judge still supports keeping the girls in her custody. My daughters are both getting therapy and counseling, the oldest because of the events and the younger due to her neglect, although my ex swears that she's fine and doesn't really need it. But she is delusional. Karma has a way of turning out, though, as my ex-wife is being sued by her late husband's children and former employer over theft and forgery. I have decided and will maintain the mantra that I don't care what my ex is doing in her personal life, and will only get involved when it directly concerns the well-being of my daughters. So in that regard, it has been a struggle, yet I'm rebuilding a fragile relationship, and we've actually bonded over shared trauma. I have a little suspicion and self-doubt right now about her, but I'm going to try and remain hopeful. Thanks again. And I will update again in the future as my fight is not over. There are no updates regarding this situation, but he made one last update. Let's hope he didn't commit it. My last Father's Day. As the title states, tomorrow will be my final Father's Day. I will spend it with my daughters. I'm hoping for a nice day. I want to have an informal but heartfelt conversation with them both before I have to send them back to their mother's house. I'm going to tell them that life is hard and it isn't always fair, but they are deserving of all the love and joy that it can provide. I will thank them for the joys that they gave me. I'll take them home, give them one last hug, and tell them I love them. Then I will return home alone and end it all. My plan is to go into my garage, where I have a large industrial helium tank. I will grab a wrench and crawl under my project car, where the leaking gas will take me out of this world. I've spoken to a friend who will find my body on Tuesday. He is to look in the window and see my feet sticking out of the bottom of the car before calling the authority. It is extremely unlikely that the helium will appear in a toxicology report, and even if it does, it will simply appear as an unfortunate accident. This isn't a call for help or me just seeking attention. I just wanted to tell someone why, because I won't be leaving a letter or anything. I told my friend part of the truth. I'm having medical issues, and I just don't want to go through the treatment again. But I didn't tell him the part where I'm also just tired. I'm broke emotionally, mentally, and financially. The person I love doesn't love me anymore, and I can't heal from that. I have no one that I truly believe cares whether or not I even exist. I just can't see a world where things are going to get better.